Hello, everyone. I'm back after a short break from Safe Space Conversations. As you know, each Thursday, come on live, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook to have a conversation about some matter relating to the advancement, education, inspiration, and motivation for women. For the year 2023, though, I've made a decision that I will be purposeful in resting and be purposeful in taking breaks from social media. There was a time in my life when that would not have been a possibility. And that period of my life was at a time when I worked in hustle mode versus being in alignment. Being in alignment has allowed me to understand that there is nothing to fear because fear of missing out was something that had me chained to work, chained to my laptop, chained to social media because I didn't want to miss out on any opportunities that would help me to fulfill my purpose. What I've come to realize, though, is that there is nothing to fear. Fear is truly false expectations appearing real. And in reality, what's for me will always be for me. And that's why I'm intentional about scheduling those breaks so that I can rejuvenate and refresh myself and always be on the cutting edge, giving you great content whenever we come together. And so, for those of you who don't know who I am Coach Duquesa Dean. And today on Safe Space Conversations, we are talking about how authentic leadership can inspire and guide women in leadership roles. Now, here's the thing, I've been coaching women for well over 20 years. And what I know is that women are courageous and can become liberated once they define success for themselves and align their lives according to their definition of what success is. Women are successful regardless of the careers that they choose. They may choose to be entrepreneurs, executives, stay at home moms, career women, whatever choice they make, they can become successful at that particular thing. I love watching my clients transform from living in overwhelm and living in overwhelm simply because society has dictated to them what they should and should not do in life. But watching them become more courageous and take ownership of their lives has been such a fulfilling experience, not just for my clients, but also for me. Now, many of us do not believe that we have the power to live the lives that we truly want to. In our careers, we hustle hard because we are compared to men in similar roles. And so we don't experience a balanced life because we're working so hard, trying to project a particular image of what that organization may deem as success. We neglect the fact that our decisions actually direct our destinies. And it is our decisions that will ultimately lead us to or away from our happiness. Now we get up every day, provided we have breath, go to a job, dedicate 8, 9, 10 hours to that job. Some of us sit in leadership positions in these organizations. We drive team success and we give so much of ourselves. As career leaders, as women leaders, we can set the tone for the future girls and teenagers that are going to come up behind us to take more leadership roles in our community and in the world generally. So we must set the right example. And we do that by becoming so grounded in who we are, what our values are, what our beliefs are, and what our vision is for our lives. Because when we stand on that solid foundation, we then continue to have the courage to live the dream that we want to avoid being in overwhelm and start to take ownership of our lives and teach those behind us to do the exact thing. So, we're going to talk about authentic leadership today. And if anything during our conversation resonates with you, please drop a comment in the comment field. Give StreamYard permission to use your name so that I know who it is I'm sharing a dialogue with today. And let's go ahead and get started. Happy Thursday, my friend Neela. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your support. And, I'm going to go as far as to say, girl, I love you. Thank you for everything that you do to support people all over the world via your LinkedIn involvement and participation. You are indeed a ray of sunlight. And so, guys, yesterday or maybe the day before, I posted a picture on LinkedIn of one of the women in my life that I admire so much. As a young girl, as a young teen, I watched Dame Janet Boswick fight for the rights of girls and women, career women, for rights for children to be protected and to be taken care of. I watched her advance through the political field here in the Bahamas, from senator to having a seat in the House of Assembly to being the acting prime minister of the Bahamas, the first woman to ever do that. I watched this woman achieve so much in her life and do it authentically and humbly. There is not an arrogant bone in her, not that I have seen. In every interaction that we have had, she has been humble, kind, gentle, thoughtful, always sharing a kind and supportive word, encouraging women to become the best versions of themselves. And as an inspiration, the day that this experience happened, when she embraced me and whispered words in my ear, I felt the flame inside me further ignite, because mentors, and in particular, women mentors, help us to cultivate the best versions of ourselves. And so, as we close out International Women's Day, I'm proud to just talk a little bit about another icon in women leadership. Many of us may not look at her as an icon in women leadership, but this woman, because of her actions, she changed the trajectory of so many of of our lives. So much so that this quote on this picture behind me, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the passion, and the patience to reach for the stars to change the world. I'm talking about Harriet Tubman. Oh, you love me more. You're so sweet, Mila. Don't make me cry, girl. I have to do my life. You're so sweet. And so today we're talking about leadership lessons that Harriet Tubman, who I believe was an excellent, powerful example of authentic leadership, put into action. Her leadership qualities can teach us how we can inspire and guide other women authentically, humbly, and graciously. Now, Harriet Tubman, if you know nothing about her, was a woman born into slavery in Maryland in the 1820s. Now, she may have looked at her life and had the opportunity to sit in victimhood and say, woe is me, I'm a slave, there's nothing I can do, the world is against me, so I'm just going to suck it up and just be right here and go and do whatever my masters want of me because I have no power, I have no choice. But that was not what Harriet Tubman decided. Harriet Tubman decided that despite the hardships of her early life, she would escape slavery, travel to the north to free other people via the Underground Railroad, which was really a network of secret routes and safe houses that helped slaves to escape to the north. That took courage. It took courage to say that I deserve more than what I am receiving today and that I am willing to put my life on the line, not just to help myself, but to help other people. Tubman eventually became the conductor on the Underground Railroad, and she made numerous trips, rescuing people who were just as courageous as her. During the Civil War, she took on jobs like nursing, cooking, and even at one point being a spy, which should tell us that no job is menial. And there are sometimes during the pursuit of our careers, our dreams, our purpose, that we have to take marking time jobs, jobs that will help fund our dreams, jobs that will help fund our goals. And so while it is a temporary experience, it is also a means to an end. Now, Harriet Tubman eventually became known as the Moses of her time for her ability to lead and get people to freedom. And I dare say that there are many women today in our society, in our community, and throughout the world who can be named Moses. Um, Malila can actually be called a Moses as well. There are many brilliant women today, courageous enough to help free other women and leave their mark on this earth because they have the courage to do so. And so, while Harriet Tubman's life had a significant impact on the American history and the fight for equality, I want to share with you four ways that I believe Harriet Tubman's life is a testimony and example for every single woman in leadership. Now, if you like any of these qualities, be sure that you're posting in the comments so I know which one resonates with you. And so, um, let's talk about the first one. I don't want to talk too much about the impacts. I want you to go ahead and research Harriet Tubman so that you can see how she eventually became a symbol of hope and freedom. Because her courage and determination in the face of oppression and adversity made her a symbol of hope for other women. And each one of us have a flame inside of us that if we ignite it and allow it to burn bright, we can also be that symbol of hope and freedom for other women. So, the first thing every authentic woman knows how to do, and every authentic woman has as a part of her leadership style, is courageous decision making. This means that we're not cookie cutter. This means that we're not just followers. This means that we question the rules when they don't make sense. This means that when there are better and more efficient ways of doing things, we have the courage to use our voices to say so and to create processes that would make our work environment, our home environment, much better. Harriet Tubman did this by being bold and courageous in her decision making. Every authentic leader understands that she has to make tough choices, which means that she is okay not always being liked. Because there is a difference between being liked, sweetie, and being respected. And so, a courageous decision maker is someone who knows that there are times when they are going to have to make tough choices that everyone around them will not like. Additionally, every authentic leader understands that they will have to take calculated risk to achieve team goals or organizational goals. Now, if you are a believer, you would know of the parable of the talents. And in the parable of the talents, talents were given to three different individuals of three different quantities. The first individual doubled their talent. The second individual one up their talent. But the third individual hid their talent because they were afraid that they would lose the talent or that the talent would not multiply for the master. But an authentic leader, an authentic woman leader, understands that we must take calculated risk to achieve our goals. This means that we count the cost. This means that we sit down and we plan. We see it from the beginning straight to the end before we execute it. Calculated means that we weigh the pros and the cons. And authentic people understand that without taking risk, we cannot shatter barriers. Without taking risk, we cannot open closed doors. Without taking risk, we cannot elevate our organizations and take them to a higher level if we remain status quo or Lead in a routine manner. By being a courageous decision maker, you can inspire other women in your organization to make tough decisions and to take bold action towards moving their organizations forward. And so that's the first thing, courageous decision making. Now, if you know of any leaders who are courageous in their decision making, hey, Amber, thanks for being here. That's what I want to be. Hope for other women. Absolutely. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be those guiding lights. So if you know any women who are courageous decision makers, pop them down in the chat so we could acknowledge them. The second thing every woman in leadership does when she is living authentically and in alignment with values is that she has empathy and compassion. To drive team performance means that we have to know who our people are. By virtue of the word team, it means that there's more than one. And team members require individual attention. There's no way to be generic when leading a team because what inspires and motivates, comforts, and rewards one person on your team may not be the same thing that another team member needs. And so we have to be grounded in empathy and compassion for others, but not let that drive our leadership into the ground. We must also have boundaries in place so that one, we're not taking advantage of, and that two, our vulnerability in connecting with other people is not seen as a weakness. Empathy and compassion are strengths for the women leader. We are the nurturers. We give birth. We are responsible for the nurturing of our children. So this means that we should know how to show care and concern for other people. The people that we work with are human. They're not robots. They have feelings. They have situations that are occurring in their lives outside of work. They have ailing parents. They have children that they are responsible for. They have spouses and partners that they are trying to navigate life with. And if you have a partner and a spouse, or if you're married, you know marriage takes a lot of work. Women understand that the authentic woman understands that empathy and compassion has to be a part of her leadership. And as a corporate leader, it means that we take the time to listen to our team members because we are only as good as our team. Let me just tell you, if you operate a team, you are only as good as your team performance, which is why it's so important for you to ensure that your team members buy into you. And in order for a team member to buy into you, it means that you're developing a relationship. You're getting to know them. You're showing interest in what's happening in their lives. You're thinking about it and asking and questioning them about what they want for their future. And you're helping to guide them to the future that they want, which could even be outside of your team. When people recognize and realize that we want the best for them, that we are vested in their development and cultivating their potential so that they can do what they want to do with their lives, they are more interested in helping us as leaders. As a team leader, it's not about us. And leadership is being the ultimate servant for your team. It's making sure that your team has the resources. It's actually serving your team so that they can perform, achieve their goals, meet the team goals, and thereby celebrate as one unit. And in order to do that, we have to connect with other people. Here's the thing though, connection requires vulnerability. And we cannot take people to places we've never been. And we cannot help cultivate potential in other people when we are limited by the pain of our own experiences. So if you're a woman in leadership in the corporate world today, and you have pain and trauma stored inside that vault inside of you, that's causing you to put up inappropriate boundaries toward you and your team, that's keeping your team members out, That's allowing you to doubt and not trust your team members. That's allowing you to micromanage. That's allowing you to not communicate effectively with your team members. I want to encourage you to heal the brokenness inside of you because you're limited by the pain that's keeping you shackled. And it's causing your elevation to be limited as well. So cultivate the spirit of empathy and compassion toward other people. So the first thing is courageous decision making. The second thing is empathy and compassion. The third thing is resilience and determination. Now, when you think about Harriet Tubman, can you imagine the amount of countless obstacles she faced? The amount of setbacks that she must have experienced in her life while trying to free other people. I'm not talking about freeing herself now. I'm talking about what she had to go through to free other people. Life happens. And I can tell you about 5.5 years ago, I was living life on a corporate job. I was actually on this corporate job to please my mom. I had made the decision like 3 years prior that I wanted to leave this corporate job. And my mom, being one of those traditional moms, was like, oh, you need to stay on that job because you have a mortgage to pay. And so she was more frightened about me taking this calculated risk into my own business that for quite some time I pacified her by staying on that job. But in 2017, I can tell you something traumatic happened, which changed the trajectory of my own career. And I vividly remember the day. It was October of 2017. And we have a holiday here in the Bahamas called Heroes Day in October. And so it was the holiday, and my mom called me up and she was like, hey, babes, can we go to lunch today? And I'm like, Mom, I'm so tired. I'm just so tired. I want to rest on this holiday. I need some quiet time to rejuvenate. And so mom said, okay. And she went to lunch with some of her friends. The next day, I got a call from mom and Mom, she said, sweetie, I'm not feeling well. So I'm going to go home. I said, Mommy, please don't go home. Go to the hospital. Because in all of my 45 years of life at that particular point in time, my mom had never had a sick day. She was one of those old school people who went to school, rain, shine, sickness, hell, it didn't matter. She went to work, not school, excuse me. And so when my mom said to me, I want you to go home, I'm going to go home, I said, Mommy, please go to the hospital. Her coworker called me back a short while later, and her coworker said, hey, your mom wants me to take her home, but I don't think she's going to make it up the stairs when she gets inside. And so I said to her, please don't take mommy home. Please call the ambulance. And I remember leaving my corporate job at that time, jumping into my car, racing to my mom's office. I got there before the ambulance. When I got there, my mom was in a semi unconscious state. The ambulance came. They took us to the hospital. They took care of my mom. They put her in ICU. And while we were in ICU, my mom started writing these messages in my hand, telling me and giving me some instructions about how to secure certain things and what she wanted to do. So I said to myself, yes, this is just going to be another warrior tale. You see, my mom was a cancer patient and she had beat cancer before. So on that particular Tuesday, I was like, yes, this is going to be another warrior tale. We're going to get to talk about how strong she was and how she came through that experience. And so I left the hospital at 11 o'clock that Tuesday night to come home. At 7 a.m. the following day, which was a Wednesday, I showed up at the intensive care unit at the hospital, went in to see my mom. She didn't open her eyes, she didn't talk, nothing, but I was still okay until later in the afternoon. Later in the afternoon, I noticed that my mom started to decline. I noticed the blood start to drain from her body. I noticed that she seemed a bit clammy. And I said to myself, brace yourself. Because when you leave the hospital tonight, you will perhaps never see your mother alive again. I left the hospital at 11 o'clock that night, came home, and I prayed. I laid in bed because I couldn't sleep. And at 2:08 Thursday morning, my phone rang. And when my phone rang, I knew. I just knew. I started screaming. I started hollering because I knew that my mom had passed away. We went to the hospital. We got there about a quarter of 3 that morning, and my mom was confirmed to have been gone. My whole world came crashing down. At that particular time in my life, I operated outside of my corporate job, three side hustles: a youth organization, a women's mentoring organization, and another organization geared towards the development of reading in people generally. But when my mom died, I lost my passion. I lost the desire to live. And I'm going to be just completely transparent and honest with you today. When my mom died, I lost the will to live because we were two peas in a pod. I no longer knew how to do the things that I would have done otherwise. I didn't bathe for 3 days. Thank God for my best friend who came and she took care of me. She cleaned my body and she spoke encouraging words to my mind. And on the third day of me being in this particular state of mourning, I had a sister who my mom, she's not a blood sister, but she's actually a lady from Jamaica who my mom took in the Bahama Host program. She called me and she said, "Now, sis, this is going to sound hard to you, but I'm going to need you to catch yourself. I'm going to need you to go to chapter 5 of that book that you wrote, Chase Your Dreams, and I want you to follow your own advice." And it was a hard pill to follow, big swallow, because who called someone and tell them catch themselves when their mother died? Was she insane? But it snapped me out of that state that I was in because I had literally tapped out. I read the book, and 2 weeks later, my mom was buried and her affairs taken care of. Why did I share that story with you? I shared that vulnerable story with you to reinforce the fact that there are times in our lives when life happens unexpectedly. The people we love die. The jobs that we love are taken away. The jobs that we may not like are also taken away from us. Absolutely, Neela. It was tough love. There are times in our lives when our hearts are broken because of relationship or marriage issues or even children issues. There are times in our lives when world experiences create havoc in our lives. There are times in our lives when our circumstances are so difficult that we think that we can't move ahead. But we have to understand that resilience and determination are the keys that will help us get up every single time that we're knocked down. And the authentic leader understands that today could be a good day, but tomorrow could be a challenging day. And she would have to pull on the grit inside of her to help her stand in the face of adversity. And that determination to not give up can be an example for other corporate women to know that we can persevere through challenges and stay committed to our goals. Now, I'm in no way encouraging you to stay in abusive situations. I am telling you, though, that when you are a career leader and an authentic leader, there has to be the demonstration of your ability to get back up every single time that you're knocked down. Every time that you're in a boardroom and someone silences your voice, speak up again. Every time you apply for a job and because you are a woman, you believe you aren't given the opportunity, further level up your skills and apply again. Give them no reason to say no. Get up, get back in the game, and fight. Now, the fourth point that every woman in leadership should encompass is having integrity and living in authenticity. Harriet Tubman was such a believer in the freedom of slaves that she left her husband. Her authentic desire was to free people and give them the opportunity to live a free life, which meant that she had to know who she was. We can only be authentic as people when we know what our values are. So today I ask you, what are your core values? What are your drivers? What are the characteristics that make you who you are? And how do you show up in all of your authenticity? When we show up and fake and have to put on, have pretenses, that's so heavy, sis. That's a lot of things to carry. But when we show up with our flaws and in our imperfection while giving our best effort, we can just be. We want to show up authentic and honest. Honesty and integrity means that we give our word and we stand by our word, that we live our beliefs and our principles, that we are true to ourselves and that we're true to our values. And when we get into environments that challenge those values, that challenge the characteristics of the person that we say that we want to be, a decision has to be made about whether we want to stay in alignment with that organization or we need to make that organization a in the meantime situation while we find an organization that is more aligned with who we are and what we deserve. You see, we believe that we have to grasp at any job that's given to us because we have bills that need to be paid. And we have to shift from having this scarcity mindset that makes us believe that we have to stay in environments that don't cultivate the best in us just to make a dollar. That's a meantime situation. We can make the decision to become better at what we do, to become labeled as the expert in our industry while we are in our meantime situation so that we could step into our forever situation. We get the opportunity to build trust, to build respect among the people that we lead. Corporate women can learn from this example that Harriet Tubman shared by just leading with authenticity. If you don't know, say, hey, I don't know, but I can find out. There's nothing wrong with that. And making sure that everything that you do aligns with who you say that you are. Because I want you to know today that people judge you based on what you show them versus what you tell them. We can tell people anything, but who we show up as is who they will base us as. And so, as I close today, I want to say to you that if you are a woman and you are stuck in a situation where you're not sure how to move forward, if you're in a situation and you've been in that situation for a very long time and you know that you want more out of your life, I want to encourage you to do something about it. And there are many things that you can do. There's the University of YouTube that is absolutely free of charge. Get into YouTube, find some motivational content, find some leveling up content, how to do the hobby that you want to do, how to become an honest, a person of integrity, how to build yourself. That's free. If you need someone to support you along the way, find a coach or a mentor that can help you. And I have a whole list of characteristics that we need to look for when we look for a mentor. And I'll share that with you in another live. But if you'd like for me to support you, I'm open to doing that. I actually have a $27 program, Unstuck Bundle, 3 days to help you get unstuck, to create your path, to heal some of the wounds that are inside of you. And it's only the beginning of helping you to take those tiny steps to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I'm going to drop the link for that right below this conversation because I want you to know that you don't have to be alone, that there is help, that there is support, that there is a better life ahead. And yes, Amber, meantime positions so that we know that we're not stuck while we look to be in alignment. Guys, thank you so very much for showing up today, for participating in our conversation. I do my best to keep these conversations at 30 minutes because it is a lunchtime conversation. And so thank you for hanging out. If you have any questions, any comments, drop them beneath the video today. I'll come back and answer them. I look forward to supporting you. And I look forward to next week, Thursday, when we have another safe space conversation just for women. Take care, guys, and God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye.